Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Vendo Velocity. We're so glad you decided to join us today. If this is your first time joining our Vendo Velocity podcast, then we're happy you're here. Vendo Velocity goes live every other week, mainly on Tuesdays, and we talk about the latest trends and platform updates across Walmart, Amazon, and TikTok Shop, as well as the paid media space. So I am very lucky to have a first-time guest on the podcast who I've known for a few years now, and I get the honor of being in his wedding in a few months, mainly for his soon-to-be wife, but also for him. I'll give him that. A great guy, a great teammate, and overall a great friend. I am welcoming Kobe Anderson. So, Kobe, can you just give yourself an introduction here for our audience?
Yes, thank you, Delaney, for that introduction. My name's Kobe Anderson. I'm based in Bentonville, Arkansas, just a few miles down the road from the Walmart home office. I've been with Vendo for going on about a year now, almost, but been in the supplier and Walmart world for a few years. And just happy to be here and happy to join Delaney on this.
Absolutely. This has been a long time coming. I can't believe it's already been a year, but we're actually going to be talking about a lot of cool things here that Kobe has dove into incredibly deeply as far as how he could better operationalize our Walmart marketplace business. So if you guys are unfamiliar about Walmart marketplace, why don't we just start there, Kobe, before we go into really what we're going to talk about for the bulk of this is why should brands be on the marketplace and what does that really mean to sell on Walmart Marketplace?
Yeah, so Walmart Marketplace is essentially Walmart's free and open marketplace for any, use the name in the description, but it's their platform for third-party sellers to come on and sell their products, or you can sell other people's products as well, as long as you have the right licensing and permission. This really opens the door for a lot of brands and companies that maybe don't have a first-party relationship with Walmart. They can get on Walmart.com, get that visibility, begin to play into the Walmart ecosystem, and try to get some traction, because everybody's end goal is to eventually be in stores, in Walmart stores. So the first step really is Walmart Marketplace.
Absolutely. Well, today we're going to be diving really deep, and I'm going to ask Kobe to just scale back some of the layers that we have here because there's so much to it. And I know that he's really gone deep into how we can automate and transform your Walmart marketplace operations. So there are a lot of manual inefficiencies, and how he's really approached this is we can build some scalable solutions to drive longer term growth, put not only more time and efficiency back to us on the agency side, but also bring an additional layer of insights for some of these brands because of the way that we can automate things. So this is going to be a really cool session. If you haven't gotten too deep into automation, Kobe will try to make it as simplistic as possible just for our audience here, but we'll also throw out some cool nuggets on really what it looks like to be building out some of these tools. So before we go into it here, why don't, Kobe, you just talk about some of the pain points that you originally saw or have continued to see about where brands are really losing time in Walmart operations?
Yeah. So I'd say kind of the top three are going to be your content and copy. Let's preface it with this. Walmart systems are very buggy and a little bit inundated compared to systems like Amazon's and other retailers like Roundel. It's a little bit behind the curve. They are catching up here slowly, and they're integrating more and more tools and integrations for us to be able to optimize with the way we interface with Walmart. The key differences with Marketplace is that it's just like a Walmart or a Amazon Seller Central. It's kind of the same parity there. So back to my point, the main three things that you're kind of going to run into issues with is your content and copy falling off, getting overridden, and having content ownership issues with other people just posting attributes and images and copy that somehow outrank yours. We don't know. Sometimes there's rhyme reasons, sometimes there's not, but you just have to be on top of it. Your pricing, Walmart is very, very aggressive with price matching. Their EDLP, they always want to have the lowest price in the market, whether that be they're directly matching to your specific Amazon listing. We've seen it match eBay listings. It can match a plethora of things. And then also inventory. So you have two main methods of fulfillment through Walmart. You have WFS, which is a Amazon FBA program where it's on consignment. And then you also have seller fulfilled, where of course you are managing all the orders, all the returns, all the customer service, just as it would be like on Amazon with seller fulfilled. So those are the three pain points, and that's where you'll start to try to identify, where am I losing money? Where am I losing time? Am I manually checking all my listings all the time, and things are falling off, and I have to? The only reliable way to go check it is to go to the PDPs, and depending on your catalog size, that could be 30 minutes, that could be 2 or 3 hours. So that could be an overnight job for somebody. And then your inventory, if your inventory is not syncing right, if you're using seller fulfilled, that can be a huge problem because you just won't have any sales. So that's kind of your first key point into the automation of Walmart operations, is identifying where you're losing money, where you're losing time, and what. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a great point there. And something that Kobe said really stood out. And that's that a lot of these systems, not just on Walmart, have a really difficult time translating the back into the front end. And what we mean by that is you could have all the attributes set up correctly, inventory can be syncing properly, but then when it comes to the customer facing view, it appears much differently. And maybe those things are not syncing properly to the front end. So by being able to automate that process where you're scraping the listings in mass instead of having a person, and even if you're hiring someone overseas to do this at a fraction of the cost of a domestic hire, that's still time and money that you're dedicating to that portion of your business that you can now have back in your pocket and utilize for strategy specifically. So Kobe, those were all great points there. How did you go about, or how do you recommend brands should go about identifying what to prioritize when it comes to automation? Where do you even start when you are trying to understand what will have the biggest bang for your buck?
I think you really need to do a little bit of a case study or an analysis within your team, or if you're a one-man show yourself, be like, and write it down. What am I needing to do over and over and over again? Because this will help you later whenever you're going through and building the automations and building all the steps for it. What am I doing over and over again? What are the steps? What needs a human in the loop? What does not need a human in the loop? What am I just clicking yes, or what am I just uploading this document? Identifying which of those, or identifying those workflows and seeing what is taking the most time out of my day, is kind of the crucial step.
Awesome. So now that we're sold on, hey, we need to automate part of our Walmart Marketplace business. And by the way, this podcast is not just intended for Walmart Marketplace. There are many other aspects of your business that you can automate in the same way across marketplaces too. So just wanted to throw that out there. If you're of the tune that, hey, I don't want to start on Walmart Marketplace because there's just so much of an operational lift for marketplace expansion, then a lot of what Kobe is going to talk about is exactly for you guys, because this eliminates the friction of getting started. So Kobe, talk a little bit about like the types of tools that you're using and how you really bring this to life. And then on top of that, how does the Walmart Marketplace API really feed into this automation?
Yeah. So the types of tools is a very fun one because every day right now it is changing. There are some key pillars there, like there's Zapier, there's N8N, there's Claude, there's ChatGPT, Gemini, yada yada yada. But the main tools I'd say are similar ones to N8N, where you can set up automated workflows that just have triggers, or you can also, there's connectors to Claude for N8N, so you can trigger it through Claude. There's kind of unlimited possibilities, but I'd say get started in your favorite LLM or your favorite kind of workflow automation tool, which you can go a bunch of different routes, N8N, Zapier. And the key piece to this whole automation talk is the Walmart Marketplace API. There are tools right now like in browser extensions that you can automate clicking through forms and uploading and checking stats. But the real power comes from being able to do that all when your computer is off, or whenever you're just away or in the background. So connecting to the Walmart API, being able to pull those reports or create new items or keep your inventory in sync with your Shopify. Those are all things that they're exposed to the public. It's all free information that's out there. It's just a matter of you identifying which ones are most helpful for you, and and like we said earlier, you identified all the things that are taking time and money away from you. So which things out of these API could you utilize and set up in a workflow that could really help your business and
Yeah,
free up some
absolutely.
time?
Yeah, exactly. And some of what you said earlier on could give a bit of overwhelm to people who have heard a lot about the LLMs, but maybe aren't using them yet. And of course, like this is table stakes at this point, right? That everyone should be leveraging these LLMs. But on that point, Kobe, I think one thing that we have to acknowledge too is that it's easy to get overwhelmed when there are so many different options, right? You
Absolutely.
named about 10 of them when you started
Absolutely.
speaking
Yeah.
when it comes to
There's a
chat.
new one every single day.
Exactly. So what's your advice for that on how to really compartmentalize some things while not always getting wrapped up in, hey, here's the new and flashy thing, while still understanding what that does and how it will improve efficiencies, but having more of a base on like, here's where my focus goes. And what could you give our audience a suggestion on when they don't know when to start? Like, what would you recommend? How would you recommend looking at that?
Are you asking specifically on LLMs or
Yeah.
LLMs? I say you need to pick one and run with it for a while, because you need to learn how it responds to you, the shaping of your prompts
Yep.
is a key piece in understanding how to use any of them. So if you can figure out what are the trends and how Gemini responds to me whenever I say this and so forth, you can then, whenever you switch over to Claude or ChatGPT, you'll start to see those trends way earlier, way easier. You know what to look out for. So yeah, if you're just brand new, fresh on it, just pick one and go with it for 6 months, and just learn what the ins and outs of that one are. As far as the tools and the connections to the LLM, some have more than others, but there's more coming to each of them every single day. So if there's a tool over here, it's probably going to be within your tool of choice within the next 6 to 12 months. And by that time, you'll probably have already jumped over to another one. You'll probably learn them all by then. So just start with one, stick with it, learn it, and you'll be better off than 99% of people.
Absolutely. And when it comes to workflow automation overall, can you just talk very high level? Of course, we won't name any specific brands, but just like what your ideation and roadmap looks like for this. Like what aspects specifically about Walmart Marketplace, if you could do and explain the process from like point A to point Z on like how you want the process to flow and where you think that's going to improve consistency and competitiveness overall. Let's give our audience some examples of some tactical insights there too.
On rather like setting up one of the automations.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Claude actually opened my eyes to this. I was creating a workflow, and I had given it the steps, but it was not just giving me it wasn't giving the output I wanted. And I was like, what is wrong with this? Why is it not giving me any insights, any analysis, any strategy into this in the way that I wanted to? And I just brainstormed with Claude for a little bit, had it ask me clarifying questions, and it opened my eyes to, you need to give it what it called level 3, I don't know, thought process, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you need to tap into your brain whenever you're doing your sales reports or your analysis. What are those things that are just being pulled out of your mind that are not visible on your computer screen? What are the things you're thinking about? Like, oh, that email from last week, or that promotion that was running during this time frame. You have to pull that out of your mind and write it down, because the content, like your LLM needs context on what you're doing. And you also just need it on paper to know, like, this task, you cannot write it without all the steps. You're basically missing a whole step by not including your little pieces of your brain in there.
Right.
Yeah. So going through that and learning how to actually extract that information from your own brain is huge. And then it changes kind of everything for the way you talk with these tools. You're really able to steer them more. They have more context on what you're actually trying to do and what you're actually trying to get out of them. Because I think most people don't actually tell the tool what they wanted to do. You say, give me a presentation or give me the sales report.
Right.
What are the steps in between? What's all the knowledge that you know that makes your sales report your sales report?
Absolutely. No, 100%. That's a great point. Talk a little bit about the competitiveness then here. How is this helping when just understanding, one, what the competition is doing, but also how is this just helping brands stay more consistent and competitive in the space?
Yeah. So I said one of Walmart's big pillars on marketplace is you have 5 to 6 key performance metrics that really need to be hitting, and then you'll get badging from advanced seller, rising seller, pro seller, and that's badging on your account, and that shows just a little bit of verification for who you are on Walmart Marketplace. That shows you have great shipping speeds, you are always delivering the right product, and something as simple as your price matching was not working for 3 days, and then it tanked your price competitiveness score, and now you lost your pro seller badge. That kind of can decrease your visibility on site, and maybe your conversations with a merchant aren't so good. Like, why are you not playing into our system? Why are you not fulfilling all these prerequisites on the marketplace that are wanted? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keeping it consistent also across the board with the content, like being able to scrape things and analyze what's falling off, what's going wrong. That is a big point for consumers. And if you go to the same product and it's got the same different images every other day, are you going to buy that product, or are you going to move on to another one? Possibly, probably move on to another one, especially if the title is not matching what the images are. Your brand shop isn't linking to your product. There's a ton of different inconsistencies that can happen with the Walmart systems and ecosystem that you really need to be on top of everything all the time. And automation is really becoming one of those crucial things that you need, because everybody's going to be doing it. Everybody's going to have their stuff 100% all the time. So you need to be on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made a point earlier around size of catalog. And I think that oftentimes, like even from an agency standpoint, right? Like we do our best to have our catalog team coverage, have coverage on Amazon of our listings. But when you have hundreds and hundreds of listings, that's more resources, time that you're dedicating. It's not possible, right?
Yeah.
Something is bound to fall through the cracks. And one thing that you really said that stood out is that you are building a system, right? And I want to highlight that because oftentimes people can get too sucked into like one tool or another tool, and everything seems more fragmented and you don't really understand how it's coming together. So it all seems great in theory, but then you can't actually put it together into a system. So talk about how this concept of really using automation to build smarter systems will and can and has unlocked scalable growth.
Yeah. So let me think on this for a second. It frees up by building this system and having, you can't have every corner checked. Obviously, things are going to still happen even with full automation. There's going to be edge cases. There's going to be things that fall through the cracks, period. It's always going to happen. But being able to build a system that you trust and that you can believe in all the data, it really unlocks your time and your ability to focus on strategy, to focus on whatever it may be, your sourcing, your conversations with the merchant, or your advertising strategy. Like these are all, a lot of the processes that can be automated right now are the mundane things that you just have to do, that just suck up your time, that are really, really important, but you can't, they're really, really important, but really losing my train of thought here.
No worries.
They're
important. You just can't have the time to dedicate towards investing towards those while also juggling strategy.
Yes. It's too many things to juggle. And honestly, marketplace is a smaller channel. So that's there's not really the investment to be made there with a large scale team versus a 1P relationship.
Right.
If you had 1P people working on it, maybe, but I'd still say that's kind of a time suck away from what they should be focusing their minds on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it allows you to prioritize differently, right? And just scale back on overall costs. And I think
Yeah.
that's the big thing now is a lot of these platforms are getting competitive with each other. So Kobe mentioned earlier pricing, right? And how price competitive Walmart is, but we know that that pricing ends up filtering into other channels too. So when that happens, that's all additional dollars from your bottom line that you no longer have. Well, how are you going to be able to improve your operating costs overall to make that channel make more sense for you, right?
Mhm.
Again, if you have a leaner team because you can afford to and get things done faster, it unlocks a whole other world of untapped opportunity for you to be able to scale your brand while protecting margin and also being able to prioritize channels and overall channel strategy differently. This was great, Kobe. You've given us so much insight here. I know that you've done a ton of research and tested yourself some custom MCPs. So that's a whole other world. But why don't you just give the audience a bit of a high level overview on what that is and how that has also unlocked this ability to automate even deeper and to scale businesses and what that will potentially bring as this starts to get built out internally too.
Yeah. So MCP, brief overview, because I'm kind of technical, but I'm not the super technical wizard. I will not inflate myself. So MCP is Model Context Protocol, is developed by Anthropic, and a lot of the different LLMs are all adhering to that standard. Basically, a way for LLMs to talk with tools. So you're seeing a lot of integrations with Slack, Gmail, Outlook, where your LLM can reach out to those services and be like, show me this email, send this message to this person on Slack. So where that comes into play with things like Walmart Marketplace is you're able to build custom tools to expose parts of the marketplace to your LLMs, and then you can handle things with the AI in tandem. Like you both can be working on it at the same time. Custom LLMs are a whole, or not LLMs, custom MCPs are a whole rabbit hole to drive down. Right?
Yeah.
But I think that's where a lot of the unlocks will be, because these are also MCPs can be live, they can be hosted, they can be accessed by your team, they can be accessed by multiple people, and then also just kept up to date versus just an API call maybe you have connected to your LLM. That's very unsecure. Please, no one just put the API calls with your secrets and everything into your LLM. Don't do that.
That's a good point, though, Kobe. Speak a little bit to the security because I know you were one of the first adopters of Claudebot. Um,
Yeah, my quad bot self imploded and would not talk to me.
yeah, but
No,
speak a little bit about like what are security best practices overall? What should people be aware of?
I mean, I'm also not a software engineer. I do try Claude, as you can tell, I'm a maybe possibly a Claude shill. They did introduce some security review practices that have tested really high on all their internal tests that they've done. I think just remembering you don't want your API keys out there. Always review, make sure that stuff's never hard coded. Make sure you're never just putting those type of things into chat. I think that can be it for 90% of people. If you're trying to build something with a connection to your marketplace account, do not put that into your LLM chat. I wouldn't even recommend you put your reports in there. You know, that stuff, again, it can be used as training data later. That security risk, don't put it in there. A lot of this stuff is the most secure by running local models, or running things like MCPs that don't directly have access to. No, the MCPs that have their own authorization built into them. So when your tool is accessing that, it's using authorization that you have set, and just more security around that. And that's been at the forefront of my mind because I'm also not a software engineer. So I'm like, please help me keep this secure. And I'm watching, reading everything and watching all the videos. It's a constant battle.
Yeah, 100%. And I again wanted to dabble into MCPs a little bit, but not completely lose our audience because it probably is just so new to people.
Yeah.
But on that point, Kobe, just talk about a little bit on how can people educate themselves further on automation and really the trajectory of where it's going and how this could help you grow your brands on any marketplace channel. Like, where do you start? How are you learning the news that, as you said, is changing every day? And how could brands keep up to speed on this?
I'm sure there's a million newsletters out there, and I'm sure there's a million services that you could go sign up for and pay and yada yada. My method is Twitter. Like, Twitter is honestly the cutting room floor right now for a lot of these things. People are announcing their new skills that they're building, their new MCPs that they're building connected to whatever service. Claude and Anthropic, that's where they tweet their updates first. Then OpenAI and Gemini, like, it's where you'll find out about those tools first. And as soon as you feed into your algorithm a little bit and you follow a few of the AI people, that's all you're going to see. And you're going to stay up to date with so much, you'll make your head spin 90% of the time. But yeah, I think that's the main method. And then watching, as far as learning, you find out about a new method or a new tool, go watch YouTube videos about it. Long format content is good for the brain. Go watch that. Take some of it in, and then also build things. Like, don't just like try to learn it all. Build as you're going, as you're learning, because that will expose you to what you're doing wrong. Because you could be following YouTube video, but you could be doing it in your own way, and then you need to see what you're doing wrong in your process, because everybody's going to do it a little bit different.
Well, there you go. You just stole my last question on what pointers do you have for our audience. So
yeah,
you crushed it there. But I really appreciate you joining, Kobe. This was incredibly insightful over the last 27 minutes or so. And I'm sure our audience will have questions on where to start, how to go about doing this. And as Kobe said, first and foremost, make a checklist. What is it in your business that you need automation for? What are you replicating every day? Whether it's you doing it, whether it's someone else on your team doing it, that's a great place to be starting here. So I'm sure we'll have Kobe on in a few months to chat further about how this space has changed, because I'm sure all of this will be outdated tomorrow, as he said. But we'll be sure to go through it. And until then, we're going to go get Kobe married to a great wife, and it's going to be a great day out in Cabo.
Oh, yes, it is. It's going to be a sunny day.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us here on Vendo Velocity. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye, everyone.